The wholesale and retail, CTAR, has consistently achieved unqualified audit opinions in recent years, with the most recent reports for the 2022 to 2023 and 2023 to 24 financial years, meaning their financial statements are accurate and compliant with generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP. This unqualified audit reflects strong financial governance and effective internal controls, which are key factors in issuing such a favorable report.
Hello, my name is Lindiwe Nhlapo. I am the Chief Financial Officer of the Wholesale and Retail CTAR.
CFO, thank you so much for making the time to meet with us today. We are here under good news in the fact that the WNR CTAR has been given an unqualified audit report. What we wanted to find out from you today is, now that you've achieved this unqualified audit report, it's 3 consecutive years that these results have come in. From your perspective as the CFO, what has gone into achieving this unqualified report?
Thank you so much for that question. It has really been a collective effort, I have to say, but I do need to highlight some key reforms that had to be undertaken in order to get us here as a CTAR. As you well know, we are a training authority, so we really do live up to our vision. A lot of our staff members, particularly our junior staff members, actually came into the organizations as interns. So when I came into the organization, obviously looked at the composition of the finance department, got an understanding of the skill sets versus what the organization needs. And what I noted is obviously that if most of these people came in here as interns, it means their exposure to all spectrums of financial activities was limited. So therefore that required for me to look at alternatives, how to actually upskill them, how to make sure that they get the right training in place, how to make sure that they get continuous and intentional coaching in the various areas, particularly where there were visible gaps in our internal controls that needed to be addressed.
When the CFO of W&R CTAR stepped into her role, she discovered that many in her department had started as interns. Instead of seeing this as a challenge, she turned it into an opportunity, mentoring and guiding her team on the financial wellness of the organization. Her leadership and dedication not only strengthened the department, but also played a key role in W&R CTAR achieving an unqualified audit.
You're always as good as your people. So the main focus was the team, looking at the team that is responsible for financial reporting. Are they well equipped for it? If not, how do we make sure that we get them cross over to the other side? So that was really the first key thing, getting the team there. And then the other key reforms that we looked at as an organization to make sure that we have a sustainable reporting outcome was to look at our internal controls. As we all know, for a good audit outcome, you need to make sure that your internal controls are efficient and they're effective at all times, if not at least 99% of the time, because there is still room for human error. So what we did with that is we made sure that our SOPs are aligned to all operational functions. As you know, financial reporting does not happen in isolation. It basically tells a story of all other operational activities that happen in an organization, articulate and find themselves into financial reporting. Everything ultimately ends up with a payment or a receipt of funds, but there's usually some sort of a financial transaction that needs to happen with every activity. So what we then had to do was to look at our standard operational procedures and make sure that even the finance ones are not in isolation and looking at the reporting, but they look at the entire journey from the operational onset. So we made that alignment and that adjustment, and obviously it also required awareness and education across the board, particularly involving all the relevant units and divisions. And another key reform that we considered as well, which was very, very key, and I think this is where the visionary leadership comes in, was to say, how do we improve efficiencies to limit human intervention as little as possible? Because remember, if you are going to ensure that you report accurately, you need to make sure that human errors are limited as far as possible. So you need to mitigate that risk. So to do so, we then started sort of compartmentalizing the key reporting areas and looking at how do we make it more efficient by automation. So it has been essentially the last 3 years, that's all we've been doing. We have been automating and improving. And you all know that when you are automating, you continuously have to do change requests as well, refine the system, because as you use it, you realize the teething issues. So that has really been the journey that has gotten us here, to make sure that even if the current team that's in existence and the leadership changes, the processes that are already in place are there to ensure that the reporting is sustainable, or rather the accurate reporting is sustainable beyond our own existence within the organization. So essentially those, I would say, were the key things that we looked at through the journey to get us where we are currently.